Welcome to Stretford, Paddock. I'm Ronaldo Brown, and this is the morning after the Champions League win against PSG, and I'm here for the paper talk at Old Trafford. And I feel like we shouldn't even play anymore. What's the statistic now that we've won 10 games away consecutively? I feel like we can't win at all. Maybe it's not even the fans, it's not even the pressure. I think we're just suited to the counter-attacking style. I think it suits us. When we're a bit of underdogs and away from home, we can use our pace on the counter. And it was effective last night. I am absolutely buzzing. Obviously, I can't show it. I've not really slept because I was buzzing last night and I've come here early. It's about 8 o'clock in the morning, so I'm up bright. But it's exciting times. We obviously beat Newcastle on the weekend. We've beat PSG and maybe we've turned a corner. And I think that's what we need at this time. We've had too much negativity around the club in the past couple of months. And nights like this are what fandom really for any sporting team is just about, and we were very much deserving of the win. So what I'm going to get into today is a little bit surrounding the European Super League and that kind of proposal, all the controversy surrounding it, all the detailings, and we're going to go into what Solskjaer said about the game last night, Rashford, Tuanzebe, a few of the quotes, and I'm going to get into it. But happy days, back in the Champions League, and we're back with a bang. I'm back with a win, and I'm absolutely ecstatic about it. So let's get into the news. And with the first bit of news, we're going to get into a little bit of the quotes, and I think it's only right that we start with a quote from Axel Tuanzebe. He was absolutely imperious and immense yesterday. One of the best. I think people have been arguing that he was steady. I thought he was sensational. I think whenever he was called upon, he defended well. He kept up with Mbappe. He pocketed Neymar, and whenever a delivery into the box, I think he was the first to it. I don't think he put a foot wrong, really, and it's a welcome sign because I knew there was a lot of talk throughout the transfer window that we needed a centre-half, signings, and it was kind of amplified by how we started the season with Lindelof and Maguire, and by being injured all the time, ever presently, as he's right about now, he's injured for a few more weeks. So that's a report that came out yesterday as well, after getting a knock on international week. But with Axel being injured and not really playing, but then coming back and playing like that last night against PSG, against the likes of Neymar and Di Maria and Mbappe, it's as good as a new signing. So there's always that tendency to look elsewhere when you want to improve your squad, but sometimes you've got to look within it. And United obviously might have known that we had a player in Axel, and he showed it last night. This is a man that came off a season, an absolutely amazing season for Aston Villa. They were flying high and he got promoted, and he was player of the season for him. And to do that as a centre-half in a team like that, it spoke volumes, and there's big things expected of him. And I think if he can keep fit and kick on, we might have a real serious player on our hands. And the fact that we lost out on a centre-half in the transfer window might not seem as bad. But on to what he actually said last night, which is a great quote from him that I thought the mentality from him was pretty much perfect, is when he stated that when he was asked about the game in general, he said, "We came here to win, we're in a competition to win. We showed PSG respect, but ultimately we're the bigger team and want to dominate and get the 3 points." So that is the kind of confidence that you want from a centre-half, and he pretty much showed that with leadership and stepping his foot forward. But obviously I spoke about him, I've been waxing lyrical about him, and I said it in a fan cam yesterday. It was man of the match, and I was really impressed with him, and I'm excited to what he can do coming forward. But what I'm also happy for is Rashford getting a winner last night. He's not had the greatest time in the past few months. Obviously, basically almost broke his back earlier in the year, and he's had all the pressures society around free school meals and all political stuff that he's been doing. And I think that might have actually, all the praise he's been getting outside of the football might have generated a little bit more pressure on what he could do on the pitch as well, and he might have buckled under it a little bit. But last night, getting a winner against PSG away in the Champions League goes a long way to kind of correcting that and maybe starting to run a form, because I feel like he had easier chances than that in the game yesterday. But when he was called upon and he scored and he got his annual goal at the Rashford Arena last night, and I'm pretty much excited about that. Even Solskjaer was iterating the same kind of sentiment, saying that Rashford could have scored earlier in the game and he probably scored his hardest chance, but who the hell is complaining? 2-1, and we get the win in the books, and I'm pretty much ecstatic about that. But if I'm actually going to speak about actually what he said in the quote, rather than just briefly paraphrasing and mentioning it, he said, "I think we could have scored a few more It was almost his most difficult chance, the one Marcus scored from. It was a great turn and shot down in the corner, and he's been at the end of the pitch before, as you said. So pretty much stating that, obviously, we're being a bit perfectionist and being a bit nitpicky, that he could have scored early, but he got the goal when it mattered, and we get the 3 points. And then obviously there's 10 points that you need to pretty much qualify in the Champions League group stages. So getting 3 points early against one of the favourites, against what the so-called second best team in the world, you can't really complain, and I'm pretty much ecstatic about that as well. But pretty much that's the own kind of main quotes that I'm going to look at. I think you can look at it yourself. There's pretty much what was said, kind of a bit the usual, just PR kind of comments, but I feel like the best comment there was by Axel, showing that United actually came there to win, came there with the belief that they could, and it showed in the performance. And 3 points, happy days. So let us know what you think about the game last night. I know you've got plenty of comments about that. I think that the whole fan base should be excited, and I definitely am, because I feel like we need it. I feel like we deserve it after what we've been through in the past couple of months. And another quote from Solskjaer was him singing the praises of Scott McTominay and Fred last night. And I think when they were actually selected in the first starting 11, people probably were a bit sceptical about it. Probably wanted to see Donny van der Beek in there and so forth. But especially Fred, I think Fred was sensational last night. He's a man that always gives, sometimes his quality's not there and his decision making can be a little bit off, as I said in the fan cam yesterday. But what he does do is give his all, and Scott McTominay pretty much set precedent early when he was taking down and hacking down Neymar. It looked like he was pretty much on him, and Fred was on him as well. And it was a good, solid performance from the midfield in general. I don't think PSG created that many chances. I didn't pace through the middle too often. And Solskjaer obviously agreed with me. Solskjaer, in terms of the quote that I just said, he actually mentioned in the midfield, Scott McTominay and Fred, it's difficult for me to pick out the players as a standout, but they were great. It's a team because every single one player played a part in this. And what I also want to mention is Pogba obviously being benched. I know some people have been calling that after his recent performances, but you can't argue the quality that he has. And Pogba actually last night statistically created 3 chances last night in 23 minutes, which was joint the most on the pitch, only playing that short amount of time. So that shows you the quality that he has, and that is undoubted. So maybe not starting him worked out in terms of being a bit more conventional, being a bit more solid, and a little bit less easy to break down, which we have been in recent times, and enabled us to then spring out on the counter. And it kind of pretty much showed that 3 at the back with wing backs of Wan-Bissaka. I know Wan-Bissaka's a bit not the greatest going forward, but when you defend like him, who gives a fuck really? I think he's absolutely amazing when he's on song, and I don't think there's a player in world football that can beat him 1v1. And as for Alex Telles, definitely deserves a mention. He brings an added element and added dynamic to United on that left side that we didn't really have with Luke Shaw and Brandon Williams, and that is his sensational deliveries from corners was amazing. His set piece delivery was great, and even from open play. I know Stephen Howson said last night that he's not seen delivery like that. I don't know if it was Howson or McCullough. I've not seen delivery like that since David Beckham, and that is very, very high praise, and long may it continue when we get the likes of Cavani in the middle on the end of it. But I don't know, I feel like I'm being a bit over optimistic. I don't think I am. I'm just being rightfully happy about the fact that our club is doing well again, and there's not negative surrounding every single game we play, and we're back. I mean, hopefully we've turned the corner and we see where we pretty much go with it. But that is pretty much it for that quote right there. So that's pretty much it for that bit of news. And in the next bit of news, we're going to go into pretty much the flip side of it, which is the proposal of the European Super League. And with the other bit of news, it is, I'm not sure you could even call it a bombshell. I don't think it is much of a bombshell surrounding the proposal of the European Super League. In my opinion, I feel like when you in football, it's something that's been talked about forever. I think European Super Leagues have kind of been mentioned or uttered for years now, but it just seems like now it seems very realistic that it could happen. So it's becoming a bit more of a bombshell, but I don't know what to think of it. Obviously, the quote is, it came out from Sky as well, so it's kind of legit, and it's obviously been generated by FIFA. With Liverpool and United are in talks about a plot about involving Europe's biggest football clubs to join a FIFA-backed tournament of what would be known as the European Premier League. I feel like I even cringe calling it that. Where financiers are assembling a $6 billion funding package to assist creation. So that lets you know with that kind of money straight away, you know, it's kind of fueling this proposal. And it's all about greed, really, greed and money. But I think you can kind of work that out for yourself. With more than a dozen teams from England, France, Germany, Italy and Spain are in negotiations about becoming a founder members of the competition. As many as 5 English clubs could sign up to join it, with a provisional start date to be as early as 2022, which is just over a year and a half away. Obviously, the European Premier League isn't something that's going to actually replace the Premier League, as some people might initially thought. It's basically just an extra league for the biggest clubs in England to be involved in, the biggest clubs in Europe to be involved in, which kind of garners the question, if it's going to have 18 teams in it, that's 17 matches home and away, and I don't know if they actually are home and away. Apparently the games might actually be neutral, which even makes it worse for travelling conditions, because United could be playing Newcastle in the Toon on Saturday, and then they could be in Singapore playing PSG on the Tuesday. I'm not sure what to think about it, really, but it's kind of interesting. It's one of them you would interested to see how it would work, but on the other hand, you think if things aren't broke, then you don't really need to fix it. I don't know. It just seems like a money-fueled decision, and 34 extra games for your team in a season, I think it's too strenuous, and it's pretty much too extensive, and it seems like it would pretty much replace the Champions League that we've known and loved, and the European competition that we've known and loved for years. It definitely sounds like a replacement. I'm not sure what UEFA are going to think about that. Obviously, FIFA don't really care about them. They're on about themselves, their financial possible gain, and the financial backing that we're kind of hearing and speaking about it. It sounds like it could legitimately happen, and the clubs, our clubs, United, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal seem actually very interested in joining it, and it's not obvious to see why when the type of money that is being involved. And more on that, what it actually means, I think there was further reports on Sky, is that the format would comprise of up to 18 teams with home and away fixtures played during the regular European season. Top placed teams will play in a knockout tournament. Provisional start date as early as 2022. Wall Street Bank, JP Morgan are the ones that are apparently funding it from America, and which is what I've just mentioned is the final quote here, is that the tournament could usurp the Champions League, and that is probably the biggest talking point. Not just the fact that it's too many games extra, and it sounds a bit too fantasy. It sounds like fantasy. It could pretty much replace the Champions League football, and I don't know about you, but I don't think that's what I would want to see. Having grown up and seen that competition as it is, I don't really do too good with change, so I wouldn't want to see it change too much. But let me know what you think about that, really. I've pretty much given my opinions on it. I think it's fairly obvious. I think it's financially driven, not really football driven, and I don't think it's very necessary or needed, but let me know what you think about it in the comments, and whether you want to see this European Super League. But that is pretty much it this morning for the news, and there's not much more to say, really. I've said what needs to be said. United are back. I'm going to say it. Get me out quoted on that one. Beat PSG last night. Runners up last year in the competition. So I've got every right to be happy about it, and hopefully we can kick on from where we've left off into the weekend and beat Chelsea as well. I know Cam won't like that, but I think that's pretty much what's going to be the kind of added incentive for us to beat Chelsea on the weekend, so that I can see Cam upset. I think that will kind of help us all. I know Callum's smiling behind the camera because he'll enjoy that as well. So it's pretty much brilliant, but catch us on a watch along on the weekend. Chelsea, I've got Tier 1 later, and I've got a really good, I know there's a very amazing guest next week, and you can wait to see that next Tuesday. But I'll be back in the studio later on with Jay for the Tier 1 podcast, and I think you're going to have House and McCullough censored soon. What else is there, Cal? What else is there? Not much. You don't know? All sorts of stuff, all sorts of great stuff. Just stay tuned, and we've got it all for you here on Stretford Paddock. So this is Ronaldo Brown. This was news at Old Trafford, and I'll see you next time.